I revealed my cheating wife to her church, which led to her expulsion and ruined her image. She then became pregnant and requested a divorce and alimony. Greetings, everyone. I have a favor to ask of you before we begin the movie for today. The channel's popularity is dwindling, and if you want to help, subscribing is a great place to start. It enables us to continue providing you with excellent content and is easy and free to do. Your help is greatly appreciated. Together, let's continue to build this channel. It is really appreciated. Alright, the video is about to start. Since a few of you have asked for the full story, I suppose I should begin at the beginning. Whatever, this is going to be somewhat lengthy. I thought I was doing a good job of taking care of my wife, Jen, for the first 4 years of our marriage. In college, we crossed paths. She was stunningly beautiful and appeared really interested in my aspirations, not merely looking for a party companion. At the same time that she was majoring in education, I was pursuing a degree in business. Our chemistry was instantaneous. I started my own consulting firm after finishing college. I worked 80-hour weeks and was constantly worried about making rent over the first couple of years. It was a living nightmare. Back then, though, Jen was really encouraging. I would get my energy drinks around 2 in the morning from her. As I coded, clients would often ignore me, so you would have to resort to encouraging words. Wow, all that girlfriend of the year business. To help me create something truly remarkable, she even suggested she put her teaching career on wait. It was the most altruistic thing I had ever seen. In hindsight, I should have seen the red flag flying straight at me. Once my firm began making excellent money, we were able to move into a wonderful property in a wonderful neighborhood. Jen developed an unhealthy preoccupation with a local house of worship. She started preaching about the importance of family and marriage, organizing charity events, leading women's organizations, and posting Bible verses on Instagram non-stop. But things started to feel a little turn off. Initially, there were minimal problems. She ceased asking how my day was. Her once natural conversations now seemed scripted, as if she were more interested in checking a box than in actually listening. Simple inquiries such, "How was Bible study?" will suffice. So, who turned up? As if she were eager to change the subject, she would offer brief, evasive answers. Her unexpected curiosity about our money situation was the most surprising thing to me. She never wanted to know anything about the company before, but she was happy to have the credit cards. Out of nowhere, she wanted to know exact figures. "Could you please tell me our quarterly profit? How much is the company worth right now? Are there any assets that I am unaware of?" I thought she was just expressing curiosity and maybe wanting to go deeper at first. After that, I saw that she was photographing the financial documents that I had omitted. While I was asleep one night, I found out that she had been going through my work files. Even though I saw her looking over documents on her phone, she claimed it was just for organizing purposes. The tension between us was growing as time went on, and things were starting to heat up. Her routine shifted thereafter. Strange, unrelated late evenings and weekend vacations started to become her routine. As a casual, "Oh, I spilled something," she would downplay the fact that she had changed into a different outfit before leaving the house. One evening, I noticed that she looked different and that we hadn't spent much time together recently. "I can't believe it," she exclaimed. She made her point forcefully, yet she avoided looking at me the whole time. After that, her protectiveness of her phone intensified. I never saw her wear the new, sexier outfits she bought. She would provide inconsistencies in her story, such as claiming to have gone on a trip with 4 women when in fact she had only gone to 1 hotel room, or mentioning restaurants in cities she had never visited. I refused to believe it and rationalized my anxiety by saying it was all due to my heavy schedule. Afterwards, she was tardy returning home one evening. She had slightly untidy hair. Her makeup seemed more splotchy than normal, and she had a subtle, off-putting scent, perhaps perfume, on her. I was missing my cologne. First, I kept my tone casual. "Did you have a long night?" As she stomped her feet, she barely looked across at me. Yes, Bible study was delayed. We proceeded to get some food. Everything is how it is. But I failed to do so. She started casually strolling in after midnight as if it were normal, even though Bible study used to end at 8 p.m. I made the observation while observing her reaction. It seemed like someone spritzed perfume on you. At that moment, her demeanor changed from innocent to protective. Crossing her arms, she scowled. Is this all you're paying attention to? Perhaps you would be more aware of my life's happenings if you weren't constantly at work. It was more of a diversion than an answer. She succeeded just as she had planned, placing the responsibility on me. Instead of pushing, I stayed back. I had a preconceived notion of how everything would play out. She would cry, change the narrative, and accuse me of being overly paranoid and careless if I were to accuse her. I became cunning so that she couldn't skew the story. A vigilance over credit card statements was instituted. I verified her whereabouts after she had left her iPad unattended. One thing women do well is to always have their accounts open. And every single week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, she would spend 2 or 3 hours in a new location in town. One large apartment building. I chose to quit my job early on Thursday. Just across from the complex, I parked and patiently waited. Indeed, Jen withdrew significantly at 2 p.m. 10 minutes after that, he pulled up alongside her. Big man. Gym bro. So stereotypical, he has a tribal tattoo on his arm. As they entered the building hand in hand, I photographed their affectionate embrace. As I sat in my car, fuming, I witnessed my wife, the woman I had built my entire universe around, enthusiastically entering another man's apartment, just as she had done when we were dating. A voice in my head begged me to charge up there and smash the door in its face. However, I restrained myself to remain stationary. Hoopla is audible. And what about getting even? Revenge remains silent. 2 hours later she came back and I got some more shots. Suddenly, I felt a switch go off in my body as I watched them kiss carefree. Gone are any uncertainties. It was like losing a loved one. The man was called Eric. I learned this via her text messages when she had a nighttime shower without her phone. He may have been a youth pastor at her church. There was an excess of irony. I refrained from confronting her right away, though. Rather, I was able to collect further evidence, such as screenshots of their conversations, additional photos from their meetings, and hotel receipts found in her purse. Even more disturbing, I taped a phone conversation in which she announced to Eric that she was going to leave me and that they would be together at last. On the other hand, the dishonesty wasn't the worst part. It was learning the length of time she had been preparing to destroy me. What I saw in her texts, which Eric and I analyzed, made me sick to my stomach. There was some pattern to this. Months of preparation had gone into her plans. I'll act when the time is perfect. Work keeps him too occupied to pay attention. Alimony will be a priority for me once I file. He will be caught unawares. She would not just up and leave me. To finance her new life, she was utilizing me. I was left high and dry as she and her lover laughed about how she'd make a great landing. I then understood that she wasn't just leaving. I wanted to make sure she got nothing when she departed. I had a relaxed, after-hours meeting with my company's accountant. After giving it some thought, I decided to report it. In the weeks that followed, I rearranged my salary so that a larger portion of it remained in the company rather than showing up as my personal income, paid off my business obligations more quickly, and prepaid my office lease for an entire year. I spent money on new gear that I will require in the near future but which isn't really necessary at the moment. Seemed like my company was in charge of cash flow on paper. Nothing out of the ordinary, simply regular procedures that, for some reason, rendered me looking noticeably less pliable. In the meanwhile, I opened a second checking account with a different bank and started transferring little amounts. She wouldn't be able to use it to construct a cushion, so nothing too extravagant. All of the paperwork was in order and lawful. The money wasn't hidden from me. My only intention was to prevent her from receiving an unfair advantage. Afterwards, she surprised me by doing me a favor. She made the spontaneous decision to blow it all up on a Tuesday. She sat on our couch with this strange, happy grin on her face when I returned home from work. "Mike," she remarked with an artificially gracious tone. "It is imperative that we have a conversation. It was as if I were oblivious to the impending disaster. "Hey, how's it going?" "Yes, I am expecting a child." This wasn't mine unless she was pregnant. Jesus 2.0. We hadn't dated in months. Her deft twisting of the knife averted my response. "It is not, however, yours. Someone else has been seeing me. Divorce is something I desire." She pronounced it like she was placing a takeout order. "Nobody is to blame." Without a doubt. A marriage that lasted 5 years is discarded like a used coupon. My hands clenched at my sides as I felt the fury building up under my skin. At that particular moment, my gut told me to force her to face the full weight of the evidence by dragging her through the muck. However, I had an epiphany. Absolutely great. It was completely beyond her knowing. That was already known to me. I had been quietly watching, recording, and waiting for this to happen. In her mind, she had complete command. She was certain that she had ended everything. I smirked carelessly. The look of bewilderment in her eyes caught my attention. She was anticipating my outburst, pleading and questioning of who. However, unfailingly I remained seated. Her bet was doubled. "You should know that alimony will still be due from you. What you owe me is my professional sacrifice for you." My gaze met hers. My comment was to Jen. "Are you seriously under the impression that I am unaware of Eric?" The color had faded from her face. And I let out a hearty laugh. "Do you mean Tuesdays and Thursdays?" "About 2 or 3 hours. Very same apartment building. Familiar parking place. Nothing was done to even slightly confuse it." "Did you honestly believe I was that dim-witted?" Her jaw clenched and she became rigid. "What are you talking about?" "Have no idea." "Excuse me, no." As if I could do anything, I spread my arms out across the back of the couch and leaned back. Who needs to be punctual for Bible study, no? If a hotel room lingerie session is required for a lesson plan, I told myself, it must be really intense. You picked a winner there, Eric. Pastor of youth, huh? He preaches about family values. But I wonder how his church would react if he were to have an affair with a married woman. She was now in a state of absolute terror. Like she was searching for a way out, she straightened her back and sat up straighter. With a cocked head, I asked Jen how much longer we were going to play. "Waiting for the perfect moment was what you and your little boy toy were doing, weren't you? Intentional of taking advantage of me before you two bolted." "I don't understand what you said." How could he miss it? Like a fish gasping for air, her jaw moved back and forth. I made sure she couldn't get well. "Get up," I said. "I want to be really clear with you. There is no way you can emerge victorious from this. Nothing you take from me that I don't also give to you." She tried to pull herself together, masking her fear with an air of self-confidence. "It's the law, Mike. Resist all you want, but ultimately you will fail." The most smug smile I'd ever cracked at anyone was reserved for her. I responded plainly, "If you said so." She thought she was unleashing the ultimate power move on me. However, I must admit that she spared me the task. Smiling would have given her the impression that she was in charge, and that was all. On the other hand, I had already made 5 strides forward. What followed was a strange 2 weeks. Without wasting a second, Jen sprinted over to Eric's apartment. Claiming irreconcilable differences, she sought for a divorce. I want to bang other guys without feeling awful about it, which is fancy legalese. We had a meeting of attorneys. I was basically told I was screwed by the first 3. No-fault divorce state was the term they preferred. It seems the court didn't care that my wife got knocked up by the youth pastor when she was sex with him. However, I persisted in my search until I came across an attorney, Paul, who was forthright about everything. "Listen, I'm not going to tell you anything false. He already told you. Despite our best efforts, we can't guarantee that you won't have to pay her anything." Afterwards, I presented Paul with my financial accounts. An eyebrow was arched by him. "Interesting timing on some of these business expenses and restructuring," he said, casting a glance in my direction. I had the impression that he was aware of my actions, even though he said nothing further and could not legally counsel me to conceal assets. While this could make alimony payments more manageable in some states, The amount you'll still be paying is substantial in this one. Everything began to fall into place at that point. Her hypocritical Christian friends will take notice of her infidelity, even if the judges do not. Throughout the divorce process, I choose to keep my calm. Permit her to think she was triumphing. Make sure she has just enough rope to hang herself. Day of court was strange. I showed up dressed in my finest suit. As if she were trying out for the role of sister wife, Jen showed up with her expensive lawyer, dressed modestly. The act was so phony that it was quite comical. The judge had the impression of being very uninterested before we even began. First, Jen's counsel pooh-poohed Jen's sacrifices for my support, our home management while I built my business, and her claim to recompense for her marriage-related efforts. Next, we were to take a turn. The proof that my lawyer presented included her infidelity, the pregnancy, and the existence of her cohabitation with Eric. Bros, her attorney. Remember, Your Honor, that this is a no-fault state. His haughty tone made it sound as if those 3 words were enough to demolish all of her hard work. My client is really sorry that her marriage did not succeed, but the law is unambiguous. Spousal support is not affected by marital wrongdoing. The significant difference in wealth between the two groups is the key factor. I wanted to rip the entire courtroom apart after hearing how irresponsibly they tossed all her work aside. The woman lied. The woman was dishonest. She got pregnant with a kid of someone else. Plus, I was still required to compensate her for her departure. She wasn't just getting out of a marriage. She was also building a financial safety net by moving in with someone else, according to my lawyer, who pushed back by repeating all the facts. While we finished, the judge did nothing more than sigh. He lowered the hammer and cleared his throat when it was time for the ruling. Although the court recognizes Mr. Walker's worries about his wife's adultery, the legislation in this state is crystal clear. In alimony determinations, spousal wrongdoing is not taken into consideration. Across the room, Jen gave me a sneer. The court moved forward. Mrs. Walker is entitled to spousal support since she was financially dependent on her husband when they were married, and because she is currently unemployed. Until Mrs. Walker remarries, or for a duration of 4 years, Mr. Walker will pay $4,500 monthly. The woman who had an extramarital affair while carrying another man's child received $4,500 monthly for 4 years. Like I was dosing myself on some insane meds. Luckily, though, my budgetary choices had been fruitful. In a way. The judge lowered the monthly payment from $6,000 to $4,500. A step in the right direction, if not perfect. And what about the finest part? I still had some money stashed away, and neither Jen nor her lawyer knew about it. Or that, once this was finished, my company will magically recover. As we made our way out of court, Jen couldn't help but seem arrogant. "I told you," she whispered as we went by. "You should have started by agreeing to my terms." Also, as I was looking on, she mustered up the nerve to call Eric. "My darling, we've won." Her laughter was pure adolescent. "The bill is on him. I warned you that the judge would disregard the extraneous matters." I remained silent. I stood there and watched as she confidently strode away, convinced that she had pulled off the ultimate con. However, this was just the beginning of the game. The first alimony payment was promptly made by me. Complaining was not something I did. Stop making a scene. Was even nice enough to send an email. "Proceeds have been sent. Could you kindly verify receipt?" Jen looked taken aback. She probably thought I would be resentful, try to fight back, and give her more reasons to be angry with her. I portrayed the perfect ex-husband instead. Nice, pays on time, keeps his distance but isn't hostile. Unaware of what was ahead, she froze. For Jen, Harvest Community Church was only one of many things. Additionally, she served as their model. She oversaw the ministry for women. Marriage getaways were her specialty. During all of the services, she spoke about God's purpose for holy marriage while standing on stage. A deacon was her father. Sunday school was run by her mother. A beautiful Christian example was set by the whole family. As soon as they found out her true identity, I had a feeling they would blame her. Everything was in my possession. Conclusions drawn from genetic analyses. Captured moments between her and Eric frozen in time. Send us images of their explicit messages. Money from accommodation. On video, she scolded her religious friends for being so traditionalist. Particularly juicy was that one. I included a cover letter that was both formal and polite, and I made sure everything was in a tidy, professional folder. I apologize for alerting the Harvest Community Church elders to this, but I feel compelled to do so in my role as a fellow Christian. Jennifer Walker, who is involved with various ministries at your church and was my ex-wife, has been acting in a way that goes against the values held by your congregation. I have provided evidence of her adultery, which started while we were married and led to a pregnancy that isn't mine, as confirmed by genetic testing. This man is now Jennifer's roommate, and I'm paying her a substantial alimony. I want to make it clear that my motive is not animosity, but rather a desire to protect the credibility of your ministry. Left the package at your house early Sunday morning, when no one was around, with all due respect, Michael Walker. Going back to my house, I patiently awaited the arrival of the storm. My phone went boom the Sunday following the shipment of my little care package. Messages sent by neighbors and fellow churchgoers. How the heck did you accomplish that? Just before the service, the pastor convened an emergency meeting of the elders. Because Jen is completely out of her mind, I just returned to sleep after turning off my phone. Truthfully, it was a wonderful sensation. Jen left a voicemail for me later that day. I had to put the phone down because her yelling was getting too much. How on earth did you manage to do this to me? You utterly disgust me. Within the women's ministry, I was expelled. You have ruined everything. My dad will no longer even look at me. I did not return the call after deleting it. Please remove that kind of negativity from my life. Throughout the week, further messages began to arrive, with escalating levels of urgency. Her fellow churchgoers paid her no mind. As a Christian family, they were mourning the loss of their daughter and were spending time in prayer over the situation. She was asked repeatedly by the Christian school where she had volunteered not to come back. Even Eric was beginning to feel uneasy. All this chaos seems to have been something he did not ask for. A beautiful woman and a substantial alimony payment were what he imagined he was getting. Instead, he became an outcast in society while carrying a heavy load and an unborn child. He had already evicted her from his apartment on Friday. Love alone isn't enough, is it? Just 1 week after I withdrew my evidence, the church elders formally called Jen to a disciplinary hearing. She cried and phoned me, so I knew. "Please, Mike, they're going to publicly punish me," she yelled. Is the meaning of that clear to you? Everyone in the congregation will be informed since it will be announced. I told them straight out that they know Jen already. That's the general idea behind gossip in the church. Our family has worked at Harvest for 3 generations, and my dad's job security is at stake because of this. Prior to fucking the youth pastor, you should have considered that. She froze for an instant. He then says, "I'm not talking to you anymore," in a low voice. "Which one? Who is your dad?" "Mo." "Hello, Eric." He claims I lied to him about how easy the divorce was and that now there's too much turmoil. My laughter was contagious. Did your sweetheart abandon you the moment things became difficult? It is astonishing. Thanks to your refusal to let me stay with them, Mike, I am stuck here with nowhere to go. My pals are ignoring me and not getting back to me. The issue seems to be one of character. Am I able to? Will you let me go home? At least till I get my bearings. This woman possesses an admiral's bravery. Jen, that is no longer your home. The decision to cheat meant you had to give that up. Once again, she broke down into large, dramatic cries. I don't know what to do. Book a room at a hotel. Get a handle on the alimony money that's coming your way. We ended the call. Is it chilly? Very possibly. However, my capacity for empathy was entirely depleted following her actions. Wednesday night was the date of the church hearing. The word had gone around the neighborhood by Thursday morning. After Jen was officially found guilty of adultery, she was removed from all positions of authority within the church. Without ever naming Jen by name, the speaker made it quite clear who he was referring to as he spent an entire sermon on the sanctity of marriage and the repercussions of sin. Both of her parents took a vacation from serving as pastors. The wedding that was supposed to take place during harvest was postponed by her sister. It was as if the whole family had gone into exile. Plus Eric. Jen was pregnant and on her own because he had previously asked to be transferred to a different church in a different state. Throughout I stayed on the sidelines. No effort was required on my part. I was spared all the heavy effort because of the community she most admired. All things are interconnected with small religious communities. I could not have foreseen the domino effect that Jen's church collapse would have. To start, her part-time job was terminated due to financial restrictions at the private Christian school where she worked. When he told her, the principal avoided making eye contact with her. Then, her volunteer work started to dwindle. Her position as a counselor for young women at the Crisis Pregnancy Center led them to conclude that she was not an appropriate role model given her present situation. She was informed by the organization where her contribution drives were held that they are reorganizing their volunteer program. She was slowly having every part of her identity eroded. Plus, I never missed a month of sending the alimony check. Our former next-door neighbor texted me 3 weeks after the church scandal broke. The Walmart parking lot has become Jen's home. I remained silent. However, I drove by later that night. As expected, Hero Honda's vehicle was situated in the farthest corner of the parking lot. Her phone screen illuminated her figure as she sat in the driver's seat. She contacted me once more the day after that. According to her, she was laid off. There were no sobs in her voice. This was a hollow defeat. My God, that is terrible. The due date is 5 months away. I will not be hired. No communication from my parents has ended. I remained silent. After some time, she finally admitted that she had been sleeping in her car. With simply the alimony, I cannot afford a car payment and an apartment. Inadequate preparation for one's financial future. Her breathing became abrupt. Is this your desired outcome? In order to witness my total devastation. For a split second I thought about it. Well, guess what? Very much so. I acted foolishly. I was incorrect. Your pain was never my intention. She is now cut off. Not to me. She repressed a cry. All I did was merely. My sincere apologies are in order. Mockingly I grinned. Very nice. May your new life be filled with wonder and adventure. At that point I chose to play my final card. Let's end this according to my terms. I added, maintaining a casual tone. I may be able to come up with a compromise that satisfies everyone. Which kind of remedy would you recommend? Jen asked, her attention piqued. The pain in her voice was almost palpable. As an afterthought, I mumbled something about how much I hate writing these monthly payments. On top of that, my business is growing. I am considering establishing a presence in Singapore. Consider relocating there temporarily. Tell me how that relates to me. I mean, alimony enforcement on a global scale is not easy. I gave it some time to settle in. Additionally, I've been consulting with a new attorney who, according to his imaginative reading of the law, believes we may have cause to reevaluate the settlement. That was obviously terrible. Unfortunately, Jen was clueless about it and couldn't argue with me. May I ask what you mean? Curious, she wanted to know. She sounded terrified. My intention is to suggest that we part ways. The following 4 years of alimony will be paid in one big sum rather than monthly installments. As she pondered the matter, she chose to keep quiet. Finally, she wanted to know how much. $90,000. Monetary value. Free of tax. Now that you've signed a form absolving me of all responsibility in the future, you can claim the money. That lump sum was completely unknown to Jen. My company was already on the mend after the earlier decisions I made had saved a significant amount of money. Half of my possessions went unnoticed by her and her attorney. Though $90,000 seemed like a lifeline to her, it was actually less than half of the total alimony payment I would make to her. A significant decrease. On the other hand, that likely seemed like a lotto win to someone who was pregnant, homeless, and living in their car. Yes, I am not sure, she stated. This is what my attorney stated. I informed him that your lawyer isn't dozing off in a Walmart parking lot. By the way, this deal is going away in a day. After that, I will initiate the process of challenging the alimony order. During this time, you will not receive any payments as we fight it out in court for the next year or two. A return to quiet. The chatter in her head was nearly audible. Is it okay if I consider it? Of course, you have until tomorrow at this hour. After that, I will proceed with the challenge. I did not wait for a response before ending the call. After 2 hours, she gave it another ring. I'll accept it, she said softly. Excellent decision. Please meet me in my lawyer's office at 9 in the morning, as I will have the necessary papers prepared. Hello, Mike. She spoke with a little voice. Thank you. It was almost comical. That's okay with me, Jen. No, this is not mercy. Business as usual. She looked like a walking disaster when she showed up at the lawyer's office the next morning. She wore the identical clothes I had seen her in the car window, had disheveled hair and black circles under her eyes. The paperwork, including a complete release of any and all future alimony obligations in return for a single payment, was prepared by my lawyer. A cashier's check was already in my possession. Jen signed the contracts without even reading them. She took the shaky hands of my lawyer as she handed the check across the table. So, she asked if that was all. Are we through? A nod came from me. Now that we've finished, please don't contact me again. She seemed to be in the mood to elaborate, but all she did was nod and leave. My lawyer shook his head as the door closed behind her. The majority of men in your shoes probably wouldn't have given her anything. I told him that being rid of her for good would be worth 90 grand. Planned it. Even though the monthly payments didn't hurt my finances, they served as a constant reminder of her deceit. I was now completely free. Without her presence weighing me down, I can finally move forward. Furthermore, Jen was someone I knew. At most, she would blow through that sum in 6 months. A complete loss would ensue for her. Spousal support is not required. Vacant positions. Absolutely no contingency plan. At the same time, I would be building my empire, enjoying life to the fullest, and never turning around. She was still at the petrol station when I saw her again, perhaps 6 months later. It was completely unanticipated and happened completely by chance. Her demeanor was severe. Perhaps still pregnant or perhaps expecting again. Neither did I inquire about her well-being. Her car, a beat-up little Civic, was nothing compared to the beautiful one she had when we were married. Like a deer caught in headlights, she froze as she saw me filling up my brand new BMW. I was just being courteous when I nodded to her. She cautiously made her way over. After a strange silence, she finally spoke up. How are you doing? As a response, I just shrugged. Company is booming, life is great, right? With a nod, she cast her gaze to her feet. How is that? Well done. Anxietyist stillness. After much hesitation, she finally admitted that the funds were disappeared. Everything else went toward paying rent and food once I paid off my debt. Took a simple look at her. Unimportant to me. I understand. All I did was merely. You have no idea why I'm narrating this to you. I've pumped all of the gas. I hope everything works out for you. I started to return to my vehicle, but she interrupted me once more. My deepest apologies, Mike. Yes, I am. For quite some time I stared at her. Did you find it pleasurable to observe her in this state? To be completely honest. Surprisingly, not nearly enough. Despite this, I felt no pity for her. Jen, it's too late now. My next move was to hop in my car and head out. She has been absent ever since. For me, things have been going swimmingly. This amazing woman I met is very stunning. She is the boss of her own marketing agency, puts in long hours, enjoys fun, and never pulls a fast one. 3 months ago we chose to live together. We are not in a rush to tie the knot again. A scared person is a timid person, and all that. But seriously, I can envision it occurring with her in the future. She's just amazing. I resisted the urge to meddle with Jen's personal life, but in a tiny town like this, word gets around fast. On top of that, We still have a small circle of mutual contacts who occasionally update me with news. Did I give her a certain amount? $90,000. Then it disappeared after only 4 months. Instead of adjusting to her new situation, she spent much of the money attempting to keep up her old lifestyle, paying off credit card debt that I had no knowledge about and buying a small apartment. She has a timeless style, Jen. Budgeting has always been a challenge for me. She gave birth to a son. Child support is something that Eric is supposed to pay, but rumor has it that he's a chronic late payer. Having moved to Ohio, he is no longer in regular communication with the child, as mentioned earlier. His own children apparently weren't part of his youth ministry calling. It is astonishing. Unfortunately, Jen's notoriety followed her when she tried to resume her teaching job. No Christian school could sway her to change her mind. Public schools liked her because of her lack of current experience. She was reportedly making minimum wage or less in a call center when I last heard from her. In reality, what is karma? Her loved ones. Where are they now? After 8 months of avoiding her, her parents forgave her, yet tensions remain between them. While they may offer some assistance with the baby now and then, their continual chatter revolves upon terrible decisions and the fallout from those decisions. Because her sister is obviously worried about how Jen's reputation may affect her own position in the church, she avoids Jen at all costs. Things did not go well for Jen when she tried to get back into the church community. She is eternally forbidden from any leadership roles, although she is welcome to attend services. She usually sits in the rear and leaves the church the moment the service concludes. There has been zero progress in women's ministry, zero improvement in marital retreats, zero shift in social status. The supreme irony. I found out about her recent confession from a mutual acquaintance that she has been blaming herself and her marriage for everything that went wrong. Now it's too late. My relationship is solid, my business is booming, and I'm finally making time for the things I used to hate to do. I am now a licensed pilot. I started going mountain biking. In fact, I've started studying guitar. The takeaway here: as bad things might happen to you, they can also bring out the best in you. You must be prepared to destroy the necessary bridges and refuse to turn around. Well, I guess that's all there is to it. Honestly, I'm not really giving Jen much thought right now, so I doubt I'll update you on this whole thing. Better things should occupy my attention. The last piece of advice I can give to anyone going through anything similar is to document every detail. Snap images of the screen. Keep the text. Collect proof. With no-fault divorce laws and everything, it might not matter in court, but having knowledge is power. Plus, such power might be useful at any moment. Reddit, I'll miss you.